Hello, my name's Haley. I'm the registered dietitian here. What's your name?
David,
David, it's very nice to meet you. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well, thank you for asking.
Good. How was your Thanksgiving?
It was excellent.
What'd you do?
Ate a lot of turkey.
You ate a lot of turkey. Do you guys eat anything else?
Yeah, I had a spinach souffle and green bean casserole. Um, it was a pretty well-rounded, typical Thanksgiving.
Sounds really good.
Yeah.
Did you have to do anything different because of COVID, or how was this Thanksgiving compared to other Thanksgivings?
I was at this intimate family Thanksgiving this year, just myself, my wife, and my two daughters.
Sounds very, very fun. Okay, well, that sounds great. Thanksgiving is always a very heartfelt time of the year. I love Thanksgiving.
We have a lot to be thankful for. So.
We do. We really do. So what brings you in here today?
I'm interested in finding out some different dietary. I'm a type 2 diabetic, so I'm looking for some different ideas to either replace carbs or replace snack items, because that's really where my biggest problem is eating carbs.
Yeah, for sure. So your doctor told me that you have type 2 diabetes and kidney disease, and you've had diabetes now for a while. You've had it for 12 years?
About 12 years.
And then the kidney disease is newer, correct?
For the last
a few
year
years.
and a half.
Okay. So that's something we can definitely touch on and look into for diet-wise. I think that's great, though, that you're coming in here to take that first step, 'cause that's what matters, don't you think?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, has your doctor given you any advice or tips, anything regarding diet with type 2 diabetes or kidney disease?
They've pretty much just said, lay off carbs. Anything white, stop eating.
Yeah.
Kidney disease, since that's newer, I went to a dietitian that tried to explain what items are the highest in potassium, and the problem is some of my really easy, healthy diabetic snacks are super high in potassium.
Right.
So now it's kind of hard to find something that is both low in potassium and low in carbs that I can eat.
Right, but the potassium went lower since you cut that medication.
Correct. The lisinopril was causing my potassium to be abnormally high. The moment they cut that pill in half, my kidney function returned back to normal, and
Just making sure it's recording still. Yeah, I'm listening.
Kidney function returned back to normal, and I was no longer on a low potassium diet.
Correct.
However, I have to be.
You still have to be careful.
Be careful. They want me to double my water consumption.
Yeah. And I saw on your 24-hour recall that you actually drink a lot of water already. So that's great. Okay, well, that makes sense. So it sounds like your doctors haven't given you examples. They just kind of tell you what to do, and they want you to do that research on your own, it sounds like.
They kind of left me out in the cold. That's why I asked to go see a dietitian.
Right.
For the potassium, and she was very helpful for the potassium. But reality is that I probably have to be more conscious about the diabetes, about the carbs.
Correct. Yeah, and I think that's something we can definitely focus on today, and we can look at different carb choices. And I'm curious, have they told you about carb choices? Picking 15 grams is one carb choice.
Well, they explained to me I could have 15 grams 2 different snack times during the day, and then 30 grams 3 times a day for meals.
I would say you could probably do for breakfast, since you do consume more calories, you could probably do around 45 grams for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and then you can have 15 to 20 grams for your snack, for 2 snacks a day. So we can come up with different meals, like salads that have more food than that, like a spinach or peanut butter that's very low in carbs, and adding that to toast, and we can come up with different ideas. So does that sound? We can go over that later.
I just have to have carb replacement. I can't have a bagel or bread or I can do that at my snack, but I don't want to have that at my meal. So I need to figure out different ways to
find different ideas. Definitely.
Great.
Okay, so today I was thinking that we could go over the assessment forms that I gave you beforehand that you filled out, as well as a 24-hour recall. And before that, I just want to go through some questions and just to get to know you better and what, how your life is, and so that'll help me come up with some different goals, or so we can come up with some different goals together. Okay. Does that sound okay?
Sounds great.
Okay. Is that okay if I write this down?
Sure.
Okay. Are you married?
Yes, I am.
And do you or your wife cook?
Both of us cook, actually.
Both cook, okay. And do you guys like take into account the carbs, or like do you look for certain recipes?
Yeah, I think we leaned away from making pasta dishes and dishes that have rice and super high carbs. Although you have to have some carbs in your
Yeah,
meal.
of course. You have to have carbs.
Hmm.
Okay. How do you feel about your current diet?
Other than during the holidays here, I'm usually on a pretty good carb diet.
Yeah, a lot of people go off a little bit.
The other problem is the lack of exercise.
Yes.
So I know that when you speed up your metabolism, everything goes in the right direction.
Right.
Right now, I've been in a rut as far as exercise.
Yeah, that can even just be like going for a walk for 2 minutes with Baxter, a day.
Mm-hmm.
So, or like taking a break from work and taking him for a while, like just to get out of the store when it's not busy or something like that.
That's hard to do when you're working 60, 70
Yeah,
hours
no,
a week.
I totally understand. I believe it. Can you see a difference between your past diet and your current diet? Like when you first were diagnosed with diabetes, can you?
Absolutely.
Yeah, you think you're more conscious or less conscious?
When I was first diagnosed, I was hypervigilant about going. I was first diagnosed when I quit smoking 14 years ago.
Right.
Soon after that,
Which
maybe.
made you eat more food?
No, it didn't make me eat more food, I don't think. I think it has slowed down my metabolism.
Okay.
And the first year I was hyper vigilant, or first 7, 8, 10 months, about going to the gym 5 or 6 days a week.
Right.
And as a matter of fact, I had lost weight. When I stopped, for one reason or another, I put on about 35, 40 pounds.
Right.
And that wasn't, I think it was simply because your metabolism changes as you're aging, your metabolism changes as no nicotine in my body, and then the lack of exercise.
Right.
And which eventually I became a full diabetic instead of a pre-diabetic.
Right. So you were pre-diabetic before for a while, though?
Yeah.
Okay. So definitely a change. So what do you enjoy doing for fun?
I love watching sports, gardening, camping.
Gardening's a great one.
Being outside.
Yeah. Okay. That's great. Are there any other health concerns that your doctor has told you about?
No.
Mainly.
The only other thing was because of family history.
Yeah, right.
My mom had heart disease.
With the other stuff, yeah.
In addition, I think it was caused by diabetes, but she was also overweight her whole life. And,
right.
And modern medicine back then is not what it is now. So, she didn't have the modern cholesterol medicines. She didn't have the modern stuff that we take now.
Yeah, definitely. And they didn't have like the dietitians then, and they didn't have all this stuff like that. So that makes sense.
Her doctor was supposed to be a diabetic specialist and was never a licensed diabetic specialist, and never once had her go to a dietitian. Never had her on insulin. So it led to a very early end for her, and it wasn't necessary if she had the right counseling or the right doctor.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. And you said you have received diet education on your diabetes, or was that just for the potassium?
I did see a dietitian the very first time I went to my endocrinologist.
Okay, so a long time ago.
Oh, 10 years ago.
Okay, yeah. And then recently for the potassium.
Recently was the potassium, right?
And
that was done online.
Yes,
I never really went
which
in
is still great that they're doing that.
Yeah.
So you said your physical activity is lacking a little bit.
Yes.
So I know you do go for walks sometimes, you said?
When it's nice out, I'm always outside.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I try to get 10,000 steps in daily.
And so at work, do you get a lot of physical activity in?
Physical activity, when I'm doing coin shows, I'm doing heavy lifting and lots of moving and, 14 hours on your feet.
Right.
Yeah, there's a lot of physical activity. But in the normal work, I'm probably at my desk or walking around my store. The only time I get some major physical stuff is when I'm smashing, silver or something to get weights out of it. I take it into the alley with a hammer.
Right, but you're on your feet at work.
I'm at my feet.
Right. So what are some goals that you have regarding your health status?
Probably to lower my A1C and lose weight.
Yes. So A1C was the main thing that looked like was off in your levels. Since your potassium went back down, your A1C went up to 8.
My doctor, when I went to her recently, I guess last month, I had all my complete CBC and everything done, and I put on 4 pounds during COVID, I guess.
Which makes
So,
sense. Yeah, a lot of people have.
but definitely exercise less. I haven't bowled this year, and my bowling league's canceled, and
Yeah.
things I would normally do that keep me, busy and doing stuff, a little physical activity, are just not happening right now.
Yeah.
Other than walking around the block with the dog, it's just not
Definitely.
happening.
Yeah. So I think because I'm glad the potassium is gone more in control. The A1C is definitely going to be better if we can focus on those carbs, like you were saying that you want to do. So that will definitely correlate with one another. And then I want to also go over your 24-hour recall that you filled out, so we can do that. And then with just the A1C test, I'm sure you know this because you kind of said you've been educated on that stuff, but it is testing for the blood sugar measurements for the last 3 months. So that is like the biggest indicator.
Of course.
It's one of the most important tests. So since that one is high, it is of concern. So that's the one we really want to focus on.
Okay.
Okay, so you had coffee and water, bagel and lox, skirt steak sandwich, house salad. Was the skirt steak sandwich out when you were eating out? Like, did you eat out?
We every Saturday, my guy who works with me, we each split a big skirt steak sandwich.
Okay.
However, I do scoop all the bread out of the roll.
Okay.
And eat on both sides and eat the outside of the bread.
That's good. Yeah. That's a good idea to limit those carbs. Okay.
So it's white bread, so it's one of those things I love it, but I can't have it, so I limit what I take in. And I also take a Repemlinoglyde, which I did not write on my medical.
Okay.
It's a pill called Repemlinoglyde, and it's used
You take that when you have over
it's
the 60 grams, right?
It's Prandin. I take it if I have over 15 grams.
Oh, 15 grams, which you probably have to take for most meals.
I'm supposed to take it most meals. I probably take two of them a day.
Okay. Okay, and then you had a turkey sandwich, chips and cheese, burnt ends, mac and cheese, Diet Coke and bourbon. You had 3 Diet Cokes and bourbons and 2 beers. And then 2 waters. So you're drinking a really good amount of water.
Actually, I drank water throughout the day. Just at the evening, I recalled that. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So you drink a lot of water throughout the day. That's really great. Mm-hmm. And you have a very good mix. Like, you have a wide variety of foods. There are a few places like where there are a lot of carbs, like with those sandwiches. But you have a lot of protein, which is great.
It's the chips I could have eliminated.
Yeah, and there's like a few things.
The mac and cheese that I had maybe a half a cup at most.
Yeah, and and it's not. We don't want you to have to like remove a lot of this food. We just want to like maybe for lunch instead of having not because it's Saturday because you always do that. Maybe if it was like another day, because I know you said that you eat out a lot at work
5 days
every day. Yeah, so that could be something like where maybe 2 days a week you could bring in a salad with salmon and like make it very good and come up with different ideas. And I'll go over some of the ideas that I just put, and we can come up with some more as well.
Okay.
With the handout that I gave you, but you do have a really good variety, and like you don't have a lot of fruits and vegetables. It looks like.
Yesterday, no, but generally I eat a lot of fruit and vegetables.
Yeah.
I mean, more than the average person by far.
That's great. Yeah, that's definitely really good. So, because fruits and vegetables obviously have carbs, but they are much lower than like an actual like pasta or bread and such like that. So that's definitely something we can work on. I think we can come up with a few different goals. It sounds like. How do you feel about making changes on a scale from 1 to 10? How do you feel about that?
I think
1 being low and 10 being high.
I think 10 is probably. I'm absolutely willing to make changes. I just have to get the ideas to do it.
Right. So you're confident that you can do it. You just think that you need like help to make those. And,
right. It's hard. It's hard. It's easier to walk by that bowl of chips sitting out and grabbing a handful.
Yeah.
Than thinking about it and grabbing 2 of the carrot sticks instead. And I would have enjoyed the 2 carrot sticks with a little salt on it as much as the carrot chips. Yeah,
exactly.
But it's just easier and it's just sitting out there.
Right, and we can come up with different ideas to prevent that too, like by just putting the chips into the cabinet. And you can leave like a bowl of vegetables out, like when you want to, or whatever. Because when you have your tomatoes out, you always eat the tomatoes. So
I eat tomatoes also. Yeah.
So that's another thing. So we can come up with different ideas.
Except for when I was watching my potassium, I eliminated tomatoes.
Yeah.
And now I'm so happy it's back in control. I can eat all the tomatoes I want.
Yes, that is great. And I also think another good thing, just to be more conscientious of everything, is I think that maybe one day a week, we could try to record your carbohydrate grams for one day, like, and do that maybe once a week, so you can kind of get a better idea. I feel like it's just an easy, like, first goal that we can accomplish, and the next time we meet, we can discuss, like, how many grams you were having total, and you can record for your lunch, your breakfast, your dinner, and your snacks. So say you had, and I'll talk more about carb choices in a little bit, but if you were to have that sandwich, so you're probably going to have one slice of bread is one carb choice, so you probably would have two. And then with a deli meat, which will be about two carb choices.
Okay.
So I would want you to write that down, like in just like a journal or a piece of paper, and keep it. Just because I think it'll get your like brain moving more, thinking about how many carbs are in each food. I'm sure you already have a good idea about what's in each type of food, but I think that would be a really great start. And then you said you eat a lot of fruits and vegetables, so that's great.
A ton of vegetables.
Yeah, so that's really good. So I think one goal could definitely be to write that down once a week.
Okay.
As well as coming up with some different food ideas.
That's measuring the amount of food or the portion size and everything?
You don't always have to measure it. I'll kind of like go over some different like examples of what one carb choice is, and I can make like a huge list for you of what one carb choice is, or two, or whatever it is. And so one carb choice equals 15 grams.
Oh, okay.
So
I understand.
Yeah, so you can do it. Sometimes it's just easier to write one carb choice. You don't have to do all that math, and then you can come up with it all together. So I think that's definitely something you can do, and then I think it'll just give you a better idea. And then I do want to go over the handout that's in front of you. And I just made like a basic Diabetes 101, just the first page, which you already know all that information, it sounds like. And I talked about the A1C, how important that is. Mm-hmm. Just talking about how, like, can you describe diabetes, type 2 diabetes, and what it is?
Absolutely.
Okay.
So it's basically my body is producing insulin, but not the quantity of insulin I would need. That's why I take this chemical called Prandin. I chose to be on insulin because all the other medications cause some kind of crazy side effect of cancer. And my father-in-law died from complications of this, or got cancer from one of the side effects of one of the medicines. Mm-hmm. So I chose to go off all those other medicines and go right to a natural. Lantus is a long-lasting insulin, so I take it once a day, very small dose, and instead of taking all the other medications, it seemed to have done very well for me. The side effect is it does cause you to lose weight, but I'm okay the way I am, as long as I don't, get, totally out of control.
Right.
But my body is producing insulin, just not enough to handle a regular meal or as much as a normal person. That's why I take the Prandin. It tells my body to release extra insulin.
Right. So it sounds like you know what's going on. Mm-hmm. So that's great. And also, it's really good that you're coming in because what I wrote like in here, A1C and blood glucose are good. Like, there are so many different ways to control with the healthy eating, with the exercising, and being conscious of the carbs. So like those are things that can easily lower your A1C level. Right. As well as the blood glucose. And like for the diabetes, if you're 6.5 or above with the A1C, 126 or higher for fasting blood sugar, and then glucose tolerance test is above 200, which those are all, you're above all of those because you have the diabetes.
Right.
And so on the next page, I wanted to give some examples of the 15-gram carbohydrate foods. So these are all one choice, or like one carb choice. So I put a bunch of examples, and we can add a bunch more, and I can print out some more guides for you. But the consistent carbohydrate diet is what it's called, and the main goal is to focus on keeping track. I can already just look at this and see that I am eating way too much food. Right.
It's the quantity of food I'm consuming. It's not what I'm eating. It's the quantity. Because these, I'm eating enormous portions of fruits and vegetables.
Right.
So I can see that's a...
Right, but you also can have like a lot, and you'll see this on the next page as well. You can have as much food as your body needs to. There's just going to be foods that don't have less carbohydrates. Like peanut butter is a great snack that has a lot of calories, and it is only 6 grams of carbs per 2 tablespoons. So like example like that.
Right.
So like for grains, for example, one slice of bread is 15 grams. So if you had a sandwich, you'd have 2 carb choices.
Right.
So we're mainly going to try to aim for 45 to 60 grams of carbs per meal, 3 to 4 carb choices per meal. So you can have a good amount of food.
Right.
And you add protein to it to bulken the meal up and make it more filling, like adding salmon to a meal and different fish.
Right. Okay.
And then for snacks, 15 to 20, so 1 to 2 carb choices for a snack. So those are the main things that I would want to focus on for you personally. I think that would work best for you, and we can always adjust as.
I mean, a third of a cup of cantaloupe, I could eat a half a cantaloupe myself. So you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm. Cantaloupe is a lot of sugar in it.
Yeah, this is one of those things I really have to be more
Definitely.
diligent on. If I just follow just this alone, I'm sure it can make a huge difference.
Yeah, and we can make like a bunch of charts and stuff like that, and like a half cup of mashed potatoes, a small potato, like you can still have those.
Sure.
1 cup of marinara sauce, and just like, so if you had 1 cup of marinara sauce and a 1/3 cup of pasta and add some fish into that pasta, you could have a filling meal.
Right, I see that.
You know, and I know that you want to watch the potassium with that, since it is tomatoes in the sauce, but that is just an idea. And like for the French fries, 10 to 15 French fries, and like you just have to be more conscientious, which it sounds like you already can see that with looking at all these like values.
Well, because you're putting an exact number instead of me saying,
right.
well, I should stay away from fries. Now I can have some, but when I have them, I have 30 to 40.
Right, exactly.
Not 10 to 15.
And that's something you're going to work on slowly, and that's why I think it's a great idea to start with writing down what is being consumed.
Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah, because I think that would be the easiest way to
it would certainly make me think about before I do it.
Yeah, exactly. And that's definitely really important. And then I came up with a day plan, just as an example of what could be done. So for breakfast, and it's a good amount of food. For breakfast, you don't like oatmeal,
what
right?
What is CCHO?
Consistent carbohydrate diet.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just a shortened version of it. So for breakfast, instead of 1 cup of oatmeal, you could do cream of wheat, since you like cream of wheat, which is 2 carb choices. 1 thin whole wheat toast, 1 carb choice, with 2 tablespoons of peanut butter.
Right.
And a coffee. So that's a pretty good sized breakfast. And you could
Sure.
add other things that are lower in carbs. Like you could have some spinach or, exactly. And then for lunch, a half chicken breast, which is 0 choices. A half cooked wheat berries, 1 choice. 3 cups of spinach, 0 choice. 1 cup strawberry halves, 1 choice, and etc. So you can see that like 1 dinner roll.
So this is
choice.
really thinking about my meals before.
Exactly.
The day before I.
Yeah, and like this isn't all going to come right away. It's going to be with practice, and a lot of it you're not going to really have to plan all this. It's just like being more conscious, and like sometimes you're going to have a few more carb choices than you mean to have, and you figure it out as you go. It'll be a balance. Yeah, and like a snack is great is 4 cups of popcorn, and that's just 1 choice. So that's a great snack to have.
Right.
And then for dinner, I said salmon with a half cup of mashed sweet potatoes. You don't like sweet potatoes, so potatoes.
I like sweet potatoes.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, we can do that. A cup of raspberries, a dinner roll, steamed broccoli, which you like all those things. So
I like all that.
Yeah, and a lot of these vegetables also are super low in carbs, so that's a really good thing to enjoy. And then at the bottom, I was just saying, like, try eating more brown rice, oatmeal, fruits, vegetables, which you already do, beans, you consume all those.
All of it, yeah.
Yeah, so you sound like you're pretty, like, set and you know what to do. Like, it sounds like you have a good idea.
Yeah, no question. I mean, I would much rather have a carrot than a cookie for a snack.
Okay,
It's just,
yeah.
I mean, that's just the way I'm wired in general.
Yeah.
But now that I'm looking at air popcorn kind of sucks, but
yeah,
popcorn I make.
We can like look. Well, yeah, that's. I'm sure
I know, but still,
everyone
everything
likes
in
that one.
moderation is okay.
Yeah,
I
of
understand.
course.
This is a really good.
We don't want you to have to cut out.
This is actually a really
enjoy.
good. Now I can think about it the day before I go have my lunch instead of eating out, or I'll pick items off the menu. Maybe I'll have instead of having a tuna melt, I'll have just tuna with avocado on the side or something.
Right.
Yeah, this is a really good idea. I can see ideas going in my head right now.
Good, and that's good. And like in the future, we can maybe come up with some goals with bringing your lunch. Not every single day, because I know that you and your coworkers all like to eat lunch together like that. But
I buy lunch for everyone.
Yeah, a few days a week you could. Not right now. We'll start with this first goal just because we want to get the ball rolling.
Well, one day we get salads in.
Yeah, which is great. That's really awesome. So I think that's a great start, and this will just get the ball rolling and get you thinking of some ideas.
All right.
So that's going to be our goal for next time, and we will meet in about a month's time if that's all right with you.
Yep.
And do you have any questions for me?
No, I think the only questions I have is regarding journaling, and it's I guess am I going to be picking out how many grams of carbs or how many of these the choices you gave me.
I think
the one choice, two choices, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Well,
or simply log on the quantity of the food I'm eating and then figure that out afterwards, or kind of keep that in mind as I'm eating or as I'm preparing my meal.
Yeah, I think that it is probably a good idea to keep in mind as you're preparing it, and that one day a week you're going to see probably more improvement.
Well, I'm sure I'll be doing it every day if I.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. Like, just starting out with the one, you can totally use that if you want to, just as an idea. So, like, one small piece of fruit, that'd be like one small apple, like an orange. That's like you'll
Right.
you'll get an idea as you go. You do have a food scale though. If you wanted to do the 15 grams, you could do that. It's up to you. So, like, a piece of bread for 15 grams is going to be different than a piece, like an apple. So it's all very different.
Of course.
Yeah.
But I mean, I also understand. I mean, because I was in school and took nutrition and stuff, I understand that different carbs are different altogether. Rice, pasta, potatoes, those kind of things are complex. It takes a long time to break down, which keeps your blood sugar up for longer periods of time. If I'm to eat a candy bar or a piece of fruit, my sugar will spike, but it'll come down faster.
Right.
So this is a really good, the 15-gram carbohydrate.
Yeah, and I can definitely make more of those examples for you.
That's great.
And just make a bunch of protein, everything. I can do it for all of them.
The more examples I can do, the
better idea you'll have.
The more diverse diet I can have.
Okay, yeah, no, I can definitely do that. I think that's a good idea.
This is a great place to start.
Good. Well, I'm glad that you are starting to get the ball rolling. This was a great first step to getting your A1C back under control. And we will talk in a month's time.
Sounds great.
Perfect.